Good morning, sixth graders. Today we are continuing to learn about how to solve algebraic equations. We have learned about how to add and subtract. We have learned how to multiply, and now today we are going to learn how to divide them. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We are on page 196 of your book, please. It says Rita sells 6 tickets for a school fundraiser. The total price of the 6 tickets is $84. What is the price of one ticket? So they've created a model bar for my visual learners, and it says the top bar represents $84, the total price of the 6 tickets, which makes sense because we know the total, right? And then it says the bottom bar represents the expression 6t. So that's why there's a t in each section, and there's 6 sections. So t is the unknown number. We don't know what that one is yet. And then it says the bars are the same length. So that's why we have 6 of them. So that means that 6t equals 84. And that is right here. Okay. We're going to continue on. It says, let the price of each ticket be T dollars. That makes sense. So that means that one ticket would equal T, and we would times that by 6 to equal 84, because the total price for 6 tickets is $84. So right now they've written the equation as 6t equals 4, which is represented right here. And what we're trying to do now is we're trying to solve for t. If we don't know what t is there a way for us to find it out? And just like in our previous days, we need to isolate t, that means get it by itself, in order to figure out how much one ticket would cost. Now, of course, we could do mental math. So 6 times a number equals 84. So if you know that, you're great. But I also want to show you the algebraic way to solve this problem. Okay, so we know that 6t, so when 6 is next to a number like this, it means to multiply. So that's why I said 6 times a number equals 84. I'm rewriting the equation because I'm going to show you how we're going to use inverse operations to solve this problem, to find out how much one ticket would cost. So if 6 times t means to multiply, what would be the inverse operation of that? So inverse operation means opposite. What is the opposite of multiplication? Division. Yep. So we have to divide to figure out and isolate t, to figure out what t is, but then also to isolate t. So I'm going to divide the side with the t by 6. And I'm using the same number that is in front of the t, because when I take that number and I divide it by itself, I'm going to get 1. So then this 6 divided by 6 is 1, and then I have t. And we already know that 1 times anything is itself, so even that occurs to letters in algebra. So 1 times t is also going to equal t. So now, of course, the rule applies that whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I have to do the other. So I'm also going to divide 84 by 6. And then that is going to give me what t is. So let's go ahead and divide. Well, I already know that 6 times 12 is 72, so obviously this number is going to be more than 12. But if I do 6 times 20, then I'm going to get 120, and that's too big. So it's going to be somewhere between 13 and 19, right? So let's just go ahead and divide. I'm going to divide over here. So 6 is going to go on the outside. 84 is going to go on the inside. 6 goes into 8. How many times? 1. and I get 6. I subtract, and I'm going to get 2 left over, and I bring down. How many times does 6 go into 24? 4 times, and that's 24 with no remainder. So the answer is 14, which means that one ticket costs $14. And then if you take 14 and times it by 6, you will get $84 if we plug it into our equation here. Okay, so let's continue on and answer the questions now. Look at the solve it on the previous page. What is the operation in the equation 6t equals 84? So what is our original? We're not talking about our inverse operation yet. What is it asking us to do? What does the 6t represent? Multiplication, right? So let's go ahead and type that in. So in its original form in the equation, 6t represents that we are multiplying. That is the original operation. So what's the inverse operation? What are we going to do to isolate t? We're going to divide or division. Either word works. It means the same thing. So what is the first step to solve this equation? What do we have to do first? We have to get t by itself. So we have to isolate t first. Okay, we're going to use our math lingo here. Isolate t by dividing 6t by 6. And what must we do to keep the equation balanced? Whenever we do one side of the equal sign, we have to do to the other. Yep. So we're going to type that in. So we must divide by, oops, I can't spell, divide by 6 on the other side of the equal sign. Okay, and so now number 24 is just like what we did up here. And so now we're just going to fill in the blanks down here. So to isolate t, we have to divide by 6 on one side, which means we're going to divide by 6 on the other side, where t equals 14. So what is the price of one ticket? $14. So that's what we're going to write right here. $14. Okay, explain how you know what step to take to solve an equation. So how do you know what to do? Okay, so we've gone over adding and subtracting, algebraic equations. We've talked about algebraic equations and dividing algebraic equations. So what do? So we just have to do the inverse operation, right? So, well, let's just write that. I know that I need to do the opposite of what the equation represents. And then let's also put that we also need to, or I also, because I started with I, need to balance the equation by doing the same operation on the other side of the equal sign. Okay? So those are just the kind of steps that we take no matter what the problem gives us, okay? All right, let's try a practice problem here. It says, Marie drives 35 miles per hour and travels a total of 105 miles. For how many hours does Marie drive? Let me roll this down a little bit. Okay, so let's represent, we're looking for how many hours Marie drives. So we're going to use H to represent how many hours she drives. She drives 35 miles per hour, so she's going to do 35 miles times H, right? Because if she's doing 35 miles per hour, so that would be 1 hour, how many hours does Marie drive to get to the total of 105 miles? Okay? So we have to isolate the H, which means we are going to divide by 35 on both sides. So I'm going to cross that out, and then we're left with H. So I'm going to put that over here. And then whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I have to do the other. So I'm going to divide by 35 over here. Okay. Well, do we know? I don't know mental math to say that 35, I know how many times 35 is going to go into 105. So I'm actually going to have to divide it out. So let's see, I'll just do it right here. 35 into 105. Let's see, well, 35 won't go into 10, so I have to use a total 105. So that means it's got to be less than 10. So I'm thinking, okay, if I know my threes, 3 times 3 is 90. So I'm going to try 8 because there's a 5 along with that. So let's try 35 times 8. So I'm going to do that up here. 35 times 8. And let's see, 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus 4 is 28. Ooh, that's definitely not going to work because that's way too high. That did not work. Ha! So let's undo that. 8 was way too high. Okay, what number should we try? Should we just go for 5 because that's simple and easy? What we usually do when we're testing out numbers, right? So 5 times 5 is 25. So far that started out good because the 5 is ended right there. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 2, 15, 16, 17. Still too high. Nope. Less than 5. Let's try again. You just want to try 3. Okay, let's try 3. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9. Plus 1 is 10. Ah, there it was. No, it's a 3. And it's exact. So that means that she travels a total of 3 hours. Yep. 3 hours. Okay. Not too bad. So you are going to practice this in your practice book pages 209, 210. So let's look that up to see if there's less problems we can do. 209, 210. There it is. right, there's 7 total problems. So let's say 1 through, for sure 1 through 4. You may want to try number 5 for extra practice, but again, just optional. So 1 through 4 for sure. Okay? And that's it. All right, you guys, I appreciate you watching this video, and I hope this helps you to understand algebraic equations a little bit better, and I will talk to you later. Bye.